A pleasant afternoon to all of you. By the way, I want to introduce myself. I am Mr. Manuelito B. Fuentes, a student of PhD 609 with the course Reflective and Critical Pedagogy. Today, I have a task to discuss to you the teacher's reflective practice on promoting literacy and numeracy. So may I share to you the PowerPoint presentation to be presented today. Okay. So our session objectives will focus on the following. First, we have to engage in practitioner-driven inquiry on relevant issues and developing literacy and numeracy skills. Second, identify relevant concerns and suggest practicable solutions that relate to essential components of content literacy and numeracy instruction in the different learning areas. Third one, propose instructional strategies, intervention, and measures or innovation programs toward developing critical literacy and numeracy skills, and reflect on professional roles that contribute to the promotion of literacy and numeracy. So let's have check first your role. So I have here different roles for our session. So you can be a good listener, an active participant, creative participant, a productive one, a reflective one, or a focused participant. But today I want you to focus, for me to be active. So let's have a trade. I will be an active presenter and you will be the focused participant because a lot of learnings will be learned from this session. So before we proceed to the main topic, I want you to reflect on this. So I will give you 10 minutes to answer these. So we have here the conscious competence learning model. So we have here a ladder, okay? So you have to answer this. First, we have the unconscious incompetence. Being a teacher, what do you do or what do you do not do because you do not know? The second one, as a teacher, what are the things you are aware of that you cannot do because you know you can't do? The third one, being an educator, what are the things that you are aware? And along the way, step by step, we know that you are practicing the unexpected things you should do. And the last one, what are the things that you are unaware that you are practicing what is expected to see from you? So this something talks about your learning competence, maybe your knowledge, skills, or the values or attitudes that you learn may be related on this. So I want you to answer this in 10 minutes. And after that, I will explain to you your answers. So as a competent professional, you have to develop the knowledge, the skills, and the attitudes. So one well-known and useful model is sometimes called as the conscious competence learning model. The conscious competence matrix or the conscious competence ladder. So that's the one that I want you to answer. So you have to describe the journey that people make when learning something new from the unconscious incompetence to unconscious competence. So this is a model. So you're unaware to that you do not know and something that you are aware and you want to do this because you're aware of. So let's talk about this. So the first one is the unconscious incompetence. So this is where the most learners start. You teachers can also be learners. So they are unaware of their lack of knowledge and skills. And put simply, they do not know what they do not know. So that is the first one. The second one, the conscious incompetence. As the learner progresses, they become much more aware of their limitations or something that they do not know and start to recognize what they do not know and cannot do. So this is the stage that of knowing something for them to be competent. And here on the third one, conscious competence, as the learner continues to move forward, they become more knowledgeable and skilled and begin to apply their learning. Typically, the learner does this in a deliberate step-by-step way. So here, you teachers are aware that are competent enough to do, to know, to do, and to value different things. And step by step along the way, you will become a competent one. And the fourth one, the unconscious competence. By this point, the learner can perform well in their work without much conscious thought. Okay, without conscious thought, so they are not aware of, as their knowledge, skills, and attitudes become embedded in their practice. They didn't even know na nagagawa na nila. So they are competent enough na pala, but along the way, they did not know that they are doing it. So they are unaware of it. Oh, that's very nice. I hope that from this session you gain something. So here, I wanted to answer this. What insightful things you learned from the activity? And what would it do to strengthen literacy and numeracy among your students and pupils? There's something to do. Yeah, there is something related to our topic. That activity will be related to our topic because you, as a competent teacher, should know your competence level. That in doing such things, in promoting numeracy and literacy, you should know the different skills, the values, and also the knowledge that you may apply on the classroom setting. So now let's move on to our main topic. Let's expand your view about literacy. I have here two choices, and you have to choose which one do you think is the real meaning of literacy. Is that A, literacy is closely associated with communication, reading, and writing? B, literacy is reading, writing, speaking, listening, as well as basic thinking and understanding how to read and interpret images. Or maybe you can say that literacy is the ability to take information, interpret, and understand it in order to make new meaning and information. So actually, oh, let's go back. Okay. So based on this three meaning, let's have to analyze which is your answer. Actually, all of that is correct. Yeah, all of this is correct. But when we are looking forward or when we are expanding the view of our literacy, it should be the letter C. It is literacy, which is the ability to take information. We have to interpret and to understand it in order to make new meaning and information out of it. It's called meaning making. Okay. So now, what is your view of literacy? I have here the three view. So maybe this is the traditional literacy, emerging, and the new. So which one do you think is the most effective one? The traditional is the three R's, the reading, writing, and arithmetic, and emerging. Reading, writing, speaking, listening, thinking, and interpreting. It's moving towards mastery or moving towards to an excellent one or meaning making. It's moving. And the last one is interpreting information for meaning making. This is something to do that we should learn because if we know that literacy and numeracy can make meaning, the question is how teachers like you will make it to create meaning from the information that you have. So let's hear talks about this. So there are four aspects of literacy according to McKenna and Robinson 2009. So we have here the emergent literacy, the functional literacy, the workplace literacy, and the content literacy. So which one do you think we are focused on? As we see the arrow, we are focusing on the workplace literacy. It's the level of the literacy in particular jobs, or I think it's not. It could be on the fourth one. I think it's the content literacy. Okay, so we will focus on the content literacy. The content literacy is more on the reading and writing for the acquisition of new content in a given discipline. Actually, those literacy, the emergent, the functional, and workplaces words are important. And because along the way, we can have it. But we will focus on the content literacy because this is the foundational learning that we should impart it, or we should have also to be important for our students or for our pupils. Here, let's talk on content literacy. Okay, so we have here the different circles. So we have at the center the content literacy. So this is again according to McKenna and Robinson 2009. So we have the prior knowledge of content, the general literacy skills, and the content specific literacy skills. And these are called the cognitive components of the content literacy. When we talk about the content knowledge, it is the prerequisite for content literacy. Okay, so the more prior knowledge one possesses, the more these knowledge facilitate reading and writing, which lead to integration for more knowledge. So here, when we are teaching the content, automatically we make students more content literate because on the specific topic that we discuss or the lessons, we are making them be literate on the content that we are teaching to them, especially in the major subjects. The language subjects, the English and Filipino, the science subject, and also the mathematics subjects. Content area teachers intentionally or not intentionally enhance students' ability to read and write about the content by simply teaching it. And that's the content literacy. So actually, let's discuss the circles. The first circle talks about the prior knowledge of content. So the prior knowledge or content is the prerequisite of what we are having right now. This is the experiences that we have from the learnings that we gained from the different experiences. So the prior knowledge. And the general literacy skills, this talks about the general knowledge, the general skills, the general literacy skills. There's a reading, writing, and arithmetic, so how to count and how to read, how to understand what we are reading. And content literacy or the content specific literacy skill focuses on the specific topic or the lessons that the teacher want to teach or to be imparted to the students, and of course with the meaning upon learning it. Reading and writing it focus on meaning. Okay, let's understand that. To be literate in mathematics, it is not a matter of knowing mathematics, but able to read and write about the subject as a means of knowing more about it. For a mathematics teacher, you can relate on this. As a mathematics teacher, you are not just teaching them the formula to solve, but also you have to teach them to be literate to understand the subject. Actually, there are some problem solving questions involving in different assessments that students didn't answer it correctly because they don't know how to comprehend the question. So that's why we have to talk about this, because there's something about the literacy upon them. Is that literacy on how to understand the not just the content, but of course with the use of the general skills, you cannot uh, actually they will not understand how to solve it without the general literacy skills. If they don't know how to read, if they don't know how to understand or to comprehend the specific questions intended for the mathematical equations, especially in problem solving. So here, let's move on. Functional literacy. It is the ability to communicate effectively, to solve problems scientifically, to think critically and creatively, to use resources sustainably and be productive, to develop one's sense of community and expand one's worldview. Very Actually, it's very specific as we go with the meaning of functional literacy. Actually, this functional literacy is something to do with the 21st century skills that needs to be instilled on the minds of the pupils or the students. And you can be functional according to to the the meaning if you communicate effectively, if you can socialize, solve problems scientifically with the use of the different scientific formula, or maybe you can say scientific steps. You can solve the problem. You can think critically and creativity. Actually, this is part of the 21st century skills. To use resources sustainably. Very, very nice to hear about it. Be productive, to develop one sense of community. So this include the multiculturalism, at the same time the inclusivity, and to expand one's worldview. So we have to be globalized. We have to be known that we are functional literate because we can adopt different skills and values coming from other countries as well. And that is the meaning of functional literacy. And that's the one goal of our uh, our Department of Education. Literacy and numeracy are crucial components of a set of essential foundation or general skills and competencies for 21st century. Like what I said, like you can be a functional literate if you have the 21st century skills, particularly for promoting daily tasks, living healthy lives, and finding work, and participating in social and political activities. Okay, so this literacy and numeracy is something that talks about for us, not just to be a professional one or to be literate or numerate one, but also you can also participate in different social and political abilities or activities, I mean. Okay, so now let's move on. So let's answer these. What does it mean to be literate? There's something that focuses on what do you think is the ability of being a literate person? How your students be a literate one? Is it something that they can read? Is it something that they can count, or something that can understand what you are saying or the instruction that you are instructing? So you have to answer this. And also, what makes a child a literate person? So having all the literacy, meaning the aspects and also the cognitive components, what makes a child a literate person? It's something to answer also. And now we have to interpret. So what are the different learning approaches or the strategies to strengthen literacy and numeracy? So I have here uh, I want to share to you a UNESCO document on the SGD, the Sustainable Development Goal of the UNESCO that focuses on education, specifically on literacy. So I have here the strategies. I want to show it to you. Where is it? Okay, here. Here, I want you to look on this. Okay, so the indicative strategies in promoting literacy. Number one, establish a sector-wide and multi-sector approach for formulating literacy policy and plans, as well as for budgeting by strengthening collaboration and coordination among relevant ministries, including those dealing with education, health, social welfare, labor, industry, agriculture, as well as with the civil society and private sector, and bilateral and multilateral partners supporting decentralized provision in practice. So we have to collaborate not just only on our department, Department of Education, but also on the different departments or agency in our government that will formulate a policy on strengthening the literacy and numeracy among the people. Ensure that literacy and numeracy programs are of high quality according to the national evaluation mechanisms. So we have to ensure also according to the SDD that the numeracy and the literacy programs that we are providing to our students or pupils are not just effective but also with high quality, which is that meets the the qualification standards given by not just by the Department of Education but also by the international. It's much better if it's international. Here, skills, a scale up effective adult literacy and skills programs involving civil society as partners, building on their a rich experience and good practice. So we have to upgrade uh, effective adult literacy. So actually, we are having the alternative learning system now as an alternative one, but this should be collaborated with the actually it's already collaborated with the TESDA or the technical vocational courses that they are offering. So something to do with it. Promote the use of ICT, particularly mobile technology for literacy and numeracy programs. So here, the inclusion of technology, the information communication technology. Actually, we are now in the industrial revolution uh, wherein we are now having the IA, di ba? Or I mean. So, develop a literacy assessment framework and tools to evaluate proficiency levels based on learning outcome. This will require defining proficiency across a range of contexts, including skills at work and in everyday life. So, we have to make a framework and the tools to evaluate proficiency levels based on the learning outcome. So, it should be congruent. The objectives and the goals of the topics to be discussed should be congruent on the assessment will be given to them. Okay, and establish a system to collect, analyze, ensure relevant and timely data on literacy levels and literacy and numeracy needs. So we have focus also to have a system that will collect and analyze or even share relevant and timely data on the literacy levels that our students or our learners at. So, nasa ang level na ba sila? And ito ba ay kailangan bigyan ng i-address because there are some needs na kailangan ibigay para sa kanila. So, it's a very nice SDG goals for literacy. So, let's go back to our presentation. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. Okay, so now let's move on to the drivers. Okay, where is it? Okay. So now, so what are the drivers? So Education 2030 SDP target 4.6 says that by 2030, it ensures that all youth and substantial proportion of adults, both men and women, achieve literacy and numeracy. Okay, it's a goal that this is something that we must be motivated because this is the goal that we must achieve. Drivers, okay, so what are the skills that they must have? Of course, the 21st century skills, the learning and innovation skills like the forces, the communication skills, the critical thinking skills, the creativity skills, life and career skills, information, media, and technology skills. These are the skills that are relevant to the lives of the kids or the pupils. Next, actually, these are something that we should focus also. The overview of the future skills profiles. These are the future skills that we must have now in mind. Okay, so learning literacy, design thinking competence, innovation competence, the system competence, the digital literacy. So it's focuses on the three, the subject, the object, the world. So feature and design competence, sense making, cooperation competence, communication competence. Also, for the subject, we have here the self-efficacy, ethical competence, self-competence, self-determination, reflective competence, ambiguity competence, decision competence, and initiative and performance competence. So, with this, okay, so to be literate to something in the future, to be literate in the future, these are the competence that they must have, or we must have, I mean. So now, so lifelong learning vision. What are the vision that we're looking for? Learning and living. So while we are living with our lives, we have to learn as we go along to move forward the stages of our lives. Life-wide learning, not just the content, but also our life-related learnings, especially on our classroom. All ages life context. So we will not just focus on the context of our child, but also we have to focus also on the different ages in our society and the specific purpose to what we are being learning. To what we are learning for. So what is the purpose of the learning that we are gathering? So we should identify that. So what action can we take to develop literate families, literate communities, and literate societies? It's our job now. So for us to be literate, to have a literate families, and for us to have a literate communities and literate society, what are the things that we should do now? And this will focus on the teachers themselves. Okay, so it starts from the teachers because they're the one who are teaching the child or the children inside the classroom. And then eventually it radiates to the communities and the societies. So here I will now discuss the concerns in promoting literacy and numeracy. So the first concern is the parents' practices and attitudes. So let's focus on the problems that teachers encountered or we encountering uh, on literacy and numeracy practices. So the first concern is the parents' practices and attitudes. Okay, so now, what are the concerns? First, children's numeracy interest was linked with their parents' practices and attitudes. Children's numeracy competence was related to their gender, age, socioeconomic status, and literacy abilities. Three, among young Filipino children from disadvantaged backgrounds, home environments is related to numeracy interest. Children liking of numeracy activities correlates with parental education, receptive language, home activities, home resources, and parental attitudes. Fifth one, family socioeconomic status plays a significant role in early numeracy competence. This is something that matagal ng problem, this concern. So it is evidently a concern pa rin. And number one. Concern number two, performance in global assessment. Where are we in the global assessment? So here is the global assessment performance of the Philippines. 1999 from the TIMSS or teams. The Philippines landed 36th place in both math and science out of 38 countries. Oh, pangatlo sa huli. Two, 2003 teams, the Philippines landed among the lowest in both math, 34th, and 38 out of 30 countries, and science, 43rd out of 46 countries. Still at the bottom three, 2008 teams, the Philippines ended last among 10 countries for both advanced math and science. Nasa last pa rin tayo. So what is wrong? So concern number two, with the results, according to the Department of Education, pointing fingers at anyone does not have. Yeah, that's correct. The DepEd would rather have all hands on deck to collectively work out for the solutions. So you, as a teacher participant, you are also part of this. More bold and decisive actions. making school experiences interesting, inspiring, and encouraging, more caring and collaborative, less punitive. In a positive way palagi. Okay, less punitive. Four, touching base with learners and education stakeholders can go a long way to understand the metrics behind quality. Yeah, we have to find the root cause. We have to go down to the base, to the children, to the pupils, to the students, to the clienteles. Let's find out what is the root of this. Concern number three, accessibility and enjoyment. So sustain teacher professional development programs on literacy instruction, ensuring accessibility and updating of our library system through establishing more public libraries and recruiting qualified library managers, something to be called as resources. Addressing problems on cost and distribution of books and resources in both urban and rural places. Yeah, there's a disadvantages of the rural one because they are in scarcity of the resources needed. The fourth one is the approach to literacy program. So what are the different approaches? Learners data included pre and post assessment of sample grade 2 pupils after a 9-month intervention. Results showed significant improvement for the intervention group. The gains are evident in fluency, dictation, listening, and reading comprehension. Two, the probable results were associated with significant factors. So let's find out these factors. First one is effectiveness of small group or one-by-one reading activities. Reading. Good home literacy environment. Okay, there's something to be the learning environment. Inclusive and interactive teaching methods. And the last one is the interaction between the mother tongue and the language of instruction. Okay, it's something that talks about mother tongue. Okay, so what are the pedagogical principle for meaningful learning? So I have here a sample of a lesson wherein there is an incorporation how to strengthen or promote literacy and numeracy. Okay, I will present it to you for a while. Okay, I will stop sharing these and let's proceed to this. No, it's not. It's not. Is it? Yeah, and here. So I have here a sample lesson from kindergarten on the topic transportation around the world. It is from the Aleman and Brophy 2002. It is cited in the Mendes G 2006. Teaching Children Social Studies, Prager Publishers, pages 84 to 85. So here, Monday, after a neighborhood walk or focus observation from classroom windows, children can discuss how people travel. Okay, that's a good one. Then they can select pictures showing local transportation as well as the modes of travel throughout the world. We have an example with elephant and the camel. Look also for the photographs of local travel children might not readily identify. In examples, the horses or the elephant. And common modes of transportation elsewhere, like for example, tuk-tuk in Thailand. There's something to be globalized. Have globe or map to refer as to discuss countries and religions. So there's an integration of early commitment here, or social studies. Okay, so actually this is more on giving the motivations to the pupils and it strengthened literacy also. Tuesday, this in the previous pictures displayed on the bulletin board as student how transportation around the world is similar and different. There's something to be critical. We are here nurturing the critical thinking skills of the students by their answer on the specific questions on how transportation around the world is similar and different. So raise hands and tally perspectives. I will discuss examples. Wednesday, ask children how they travel in their families or something to be relevant naman on the lives of the pupils by using the car, the bus, and planes. It takes money to travel those ways or something to be numeracy na because it talks about money. Why? How would they travel if they didn't have money? If their religion didn't allow it, how would climate influence the ways they would travel? So this talks about our problem and solving ability and then discuss. Thursday, read from camel cart to canoe, Luna 1992. Use a globe and consider transposition in other countries. Is alive? What is different? It's comparing and contrasting that. Okay, so it's something to be analyzation and synthesization. Friday gives you the selection of photos of transportation throughout the world. Each will choose two to glue onto paper and dictate whether people travel that way because of climate, geography, money, tourism, or customs. And discuss, are we more alike or different? So what an interesting lesson. This is an excerpt lesson that will focusing on strengthening literacy and numeracy. As we observe this excerpt, kindergarten lesson, have the critical thinking skills to be nurtured, problem solving skills to be nurtured, and also with the varied use of relevant examples, there's something that very interesting to teach. Very nice. So now let's go back again to our discussion. So that is one of the pedagogical principle for meaningful learning. So discussion for instruction of lesson for meaningful learning. After all that we have discussed, I have here now, I think it's a question. Okay, no, it is, I will group you and you will answer these. So what are the challenges in promoting literacy and numeracy? So I discussed to you the four, the concern one, two, three, and four. So you have to identify now the challenges that are evident in your context and suggest instructional strategies or methods to address identified challenges. So I want you to answer those things by group. So you will be grouped according to your grade level. At the same time, there should be a one presenter of the summary. Okay. So later on, we will do that, and I want to hear that from you. So now, that's a group presentation. So now, for your job embedded outputs, you have to develop a lesson plan that will acknowledge the strategies and promote literacy and memories. Like what I gave to you a while ago, the example of the kindergarten lesson, just like that. Okay, it's time to reflect. Why is it important for teachers to pay attention to concerns in literacy, education, numeracy instruction? How can we promote lifelong learning through our teaching practice? And as a teacher, how important is the reflective practice in your profession and in your personal life? Okay? And sharing of insight from the session, what have you learned throughout the session? Okay, I hope that you share your insight based on what you have learned and what you feel while I'm discussing to you the different topics, specifically the unconscious competence learning models, the promotion of literacy and numeracy with the concerns, and also the aspects of literacy and numeracy, and so many more that I discussed to you. So you have to give your insights. And that's the end of my presentation. Okay, so I hope that you learned from me, and that's the end of my presentation.